Okay. Oh my gosh, babe.
Oh my goodness.
We're doing this, you guys. I cannot believe, babe, like literally the fact that you're on Regardless with me today. I am just so flipping grateful. Like, what a way to kick off living together.
I know. I'm so honored to be here.
Babe.
I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this for so long. And excuse my voice.
No,
I'm sure you
stop.
can hear it, but I kind of lost my voice. But you're worth it. And so I'm here and we're going to push through. So if it's a little bit scratchy, that's why.
No, you sound sexy.
Thank
And
you.
seriously, I want to just introduce you to everyone because you're freaking phenomenal. This is Jisu Kim. She is a Korean American health and wellness influencer. She's absolutely killing it in really the health, wellness, and lifestyle space. And what's so amazing about you, babe, is that you left going, deciding to go to medical school and totally ditching that path and that idea to pursue content creation. Like, props to you. That is scary to do. And you are an entrepreneur. And really, your mission is to support young women in achieving their health and wellness goals so they can live their best lives. And if anyone understands that and understands just the impact and the mission, it's me. And I'm so flipping proud of you because your content is so authentic. It's so important. And it's just real and different, and it's you. And I'm just cheering you on. Like, props to you, my love.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. It was definitely really scary to make that decision. I'm not going to underplay it. Like, my entire life, ever since I was 10, I thought I was going to be a doctor because I grew up in a single parent household. My mother is an immigrant from Korea, so we had really traditional values.
Yeah.
I could be a doctor, a lawyer, or a pharmacist if things didn't work out. And so to grow up in that environment and like wanting to make her proud, but I was just going through my own wellness and healing journey. And I came to a point where I knew that I had to stop living for other people. And I had to really dig deep and really ask, like, where does God want me to be? Like, where am I going to be in the next couple of years? And I just decided I have to leave medical school and I have to try this one thing that I've been always wanting to do. But I was terrified because all my friends graduated. Now I graduated from USC. You're expected to be in like the top of the top.
Oh, yeah. And like knowing how expensive it is to even go to school.
Yeah, it felt like a waste. Like everyone was like,
Yeah.
you're going to leave like your amazing degree at USC as a pre-med student to work at Trader Joe's and create content. I was
Jisu.
working at a grocery store for a year, pushing carts while I was creating content, while all of my friends were in law school and med school. I had so many breakdowns in my little car while I was eating like lunch or dinner. And I was like, God, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to trust you and trust this process. And then I had a crazy breakthrough where I was about to give up on my dreams and go back to med school or whatever. And it worked out. And I've never looked back ever since, but I've always been like that where I really just give it my all. And now I'm here,
Dude,
sitting.
look at you.
It's so crazy. Yeah.
Thank you for being real because I think when we look at someone on Instagram, especially in the world of like the creator economy or influencers that we follow, we really only see like the success, like where you are now, what you're doing, and we don't see like the real human behind that. And so I think it's really cool for you to come on Regardless and to share like, yo, this was like my story before me being here and like sharing my story on Instagram, and it's so relatable. Like it's so relatable. And even me personally, like I can relate to a T with that. It's like having a 9 to 5, but also like having a baby and a vision and just going for it. And I think like momentum is something that you can't see with the physical eye.
No.
But the fact that you were like pushing through.
You have to believe in yourself because no one is going to see your vision. It's your vision for a reason. Everyone starts from somewhere. I started at a grocery store with Trader Joe's. I love Trader Joe's. We love TJ's, but I get like PTSD every time I walk in. But I had 0 followers. People thinking I was crazy. I was leaving a very lucrative career to start over, and it was really scary.
Yeah.
But I think it was one of the best decisions I could have ever made. And I just want to encourage anyone out there, even you can be comparing yourself to other people that are so successful, but they all start from somewhere, and you're going to look back at this moment and be so proud that you continued to grow and chase after what you're so passionate about.
I really appreciate that. And I'm just so grateful, babe, like to have you like in my life. And fun fact, we are roommates as of like literally like a month ago.
Yeah.
And I think it's so cool, especially for me, to have you in my environment where, quite honestly, everything is born. Because, you know, I work from home where I'm juggling a 9 to 5 and my business being regardless. And the fact that I get to have that experience of like building a baby or coming home and needing time to rest or have fun or play. The fact that I have you who I look up to, who I respect, who I can learn from, you challenge me, like to have that in an environment at home. First of all, I don't take for granted because I don't have a lot of experiences with friends in terms of good living situations. And I just want you to know how blessed I am that you came into my life. And really, like, the future of living together is our oyster.
Yeah.
And it's freaking cool when, like, two girls can, like, live together who respect one another and can support each other build.
Absolutely. I mean, I have never told you this, but I look forward to when you say hi or good morning and you have the biggest smile. I'm sure you guys all know, like, Skylar's energy she's exactly like she is, you know, at home when she's outside. The same positivity you share on this platform with, you know, outside people, you're just like that inside. And it can be scary to start living with someone because they can really switch up on you and you see a completely different side, but you're so consistent in your positivity and your smile, and it just warms my heart. And that's what I love about living with you.
What the heck?
Yeah.
I so appreciate you saying that, and literally ditto.
Yeah.
I mean, looking back at a lot of my living situations, they were not easy, you guys.
Yeah.
Like, really brutal, traumatizing, and like painful situations. And, you know, you are known like on Instagram for sharing your awesome friendship advice. And I think something that a lot of people don't really talk about is like friendship issues in terms of like living situations, because that is a completely different realm of like vulnerability, of like sharing space with someone. And I'm just curious to like learn a little bit more, like before me. Like, what were some of your experiences of living with girls?
Yeah. It's a little bit of a crazy story how this all turned out, but I had moved back home and I was really looking for a new place. I was very desperate to get out of my situation because I was comparing my current status with everyone else online, you know, and it can be hard to feel like you're still living at home and that you're not doing enough. And so I was really desperate to find a new place. And so I was asking around, and eventually I found a place that I moved into, but it felt very rushed. It almost felt like the first open door, I just took it.
Yep.
And I was living there for 6 months. And in the beginning, I was so excited and I wanted to build friendship and have game nights and all this stuff. And they are very lovely people, but it didn't click in this sense of just being on the same page in life and our values and all these different kind of things. And as a content creator, it's really hard to maybe live with other people who don't understand what we do.
Absolutely.
Because I will just have a random tripod of me cooking or talking to the camera. And if you guys don't know, it looks psycho.
It looks a little crazy.
It's so crazy because you're just talking to yourself all the time. And I just didn't feel comfortable doing that. But that's my job, right?
Yeah, babe.
And so it was hard for me to feel like my authentic self as a creator living in this place. And so eventually I made the hard decision of moving back home, which took a hit on my ego because I have so much pride. Like, your girl has so much pride. But I knew that it was the right decision to move back home. And this time I wanted to do things right and not have desperation and really wait until the perfect opportunity came. That was last year in July or August. ever since then, I've just been looking, I've been patient, I've been waiting, asking around, doing so many apartment tours. And I would get really excited. You know, I would ask around and there'd be friends that say, oh my gosh, I'm looking for a roommate. Come over, check out my place. I would check it out. It would be beautiful, but it didn't feel like home. And so I would have to really meditate and say,
Wow.
you know what, I don't think this is right. And I would tell them, like, you know what, I think this is a great place, but it's not for me. And it got to a point where I was wondering, am I ever going to find a place? Am I too picky? Are my standards too high in terms of living?
Yeah.
I wanted a great place, a great neighborhood, like good roommates, like all this stuff. And I started to almost feel hopeless, but I just really was patient and trusted the process. And then I was at an event with our mutual friend, Spencer.
She's the best.
She's so amazing.
She's the best.
And I was just telling her, like I usually do, I'm looking for a place in this specific neighborhood. Do you know anyone? And she's like, oh my gosh, I have a friend who's actually looking for someone. And that was you.
Lucky me.
And then things happened very quickly, but I remember coming into your space for the first time, and I just knew. I walked in and it felt like home. And it felt like the right place. And you were so lovely and so sweet. And I couldn't believe that this was the place that I had, wanted. Like, it was above my expectations.
Wow.
And the fact that we are sitting here recording your podcast, it's like
Insane.
it's worth the wait,
And I think what's really cool about, like, your whole experience is that, you kind of just trusted the universe to, like, work its magic. At the same time, you were also putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
And, like, word of mouth is so powerful, and reaching out to people who you never know who someone might know that could be introducing you to your next job, your next dream apartment, your next best friend. And that is something that I really, like, look up to, is that you are always putting yourself out there. And I think that's really how you manifested this place and you made it happen. And just to see your past experiences of, like, shitty living situations to where you are now is massive. And I think that's so inspiring.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you're right. It's that combination of putting yourself out there. I think that's one of my strengths, is getting uncomfortable and just going after it, talking to people, telling them what you want, because then they can help you. They're not going to know what you need until you tell them. So put it out there, but be patient and wait for the perfect opportunity, because it will come. And not every open door is meant for you to walk through. I think that's what I learned from my past mistakes, is just because something is exciting in the beginning, it can seem like, oh my gosh, this could be it. It could be, but wait it out. Give yourself a moment, because I think as girls, we can get really excited. But take a moment. I always sleep on it, because in the morning, I have so much clarity. So much clarity.
That is really true. And I think that goes to show, like, especially as girls, we do get really excited about, like, the idea of something. Like, the idea of a guy or an amazing apartment or an outfit that's, like, way out of budget or whatever it might be, an experience. And that's so true. Like, having the maturity or even the discipline to be like, look, this sounds amazing, but I'm going to sleep on it. And I think this also can be applied to, like, friendships.
Yeah.
I think especially for me in the past, like, looking at a lot of my friendships, I've learned the hard way, where I've just so easily have given out the bestie card to someone who hasn't really, like, earned that spot in my life, where I end up getting hurt. And I think specifically speaking to, like, living situations, I mean, I have so many stories, like, literally, Jisu, like, looking back at UC Santa Barbara, like, my experience there, I'm really grateful for all the experiences. And, I made amazing lifelong friends from that school and living in the sorority. But being brutally honest, some of the situations that I had living with these girls were so painful. And some of them, I gave the bestie card out way too easily and ended up getting hurt. Or I actually, thought I trusted them, but I couldn't because they would go, behind my back or just weren't acting like a best friend. And I think it's so much more difficult when you have those challenges when you're living with people because you really don't have the space to really get away from them in a way.
Yeah.
And it can ruin a friendship. Like, what was your experience, when you were living with some of the girls that you were living with before, moving in with Shay and I? Like, how were you able to navigate some of, like, the turmoil or adversity when you were living with some of these girls?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to preface by saying these are amazing girls.
Absolutely.
We really didn't have any issue. It was just that we didn't really click,
Yeah.
There was just no communal aspect to it. And I think that's what I wanted. Not everyone wants a living situation where everyone gets along really well. Like me and you, we wake up, we're like, good morning.
Totally.
How are you doing? Like, let's break down what happened last night. I want that, but not everyone wants that. And I think just realizing what kind of dynamic do you want with your roommate? Do you just want someone who's respectful, who keeps their own space, who has the same cleanliness? Or do you want someone who can debrief with you on the couch? And that's kind of the relationship I wanted. I wanted, someone that I could come home to and be like, girl, I need your advice. Like, please give me your insight on this. And I think just by the end of it, it just was very cordial. And I just didn't want that living situation. I wanted it to feel very warm and inviting and have people over and where everything can just be very free flowing. And so I think I just realized to be a little bit more cautious and kind of recognize like what personality would really vibe with me before choosing that next living situation. And I also think you don't have to be best friends to live together.
No.
I think sometimes that's the wrong move to do because living together can really make or break a friendship. Yeah. There's so many people in my life that I love, but I would never live with them.
Yeah, and that's totally okay to like recognize.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even like one of my bestest friends, like I could never live with her.
Yeah.
Because you are taking like, it is a wild card.
Yeah.
And, I think for us, especially like being in our 20s, and me being like, getting closer to 27, like I have a lot going on in my life. And so do you. Like you're juggling multiple things. We have our own friends. Like it's not like we only have each other.
No.
And I think that's something really important to note before you're getting yourself into a living situation is like, okay, like how full is this other person's life? Like how much do I have to give?
Yes.
And I think it's really healthy, to have your own like hobbies and other friend groups.
I love that point because I think that's why we work.
I
Because
agree.
we have a very full life. We don't have the same friend group and we don't need to be in the same friend group.
No.
Love your friends. You still need to be more of my friends. You're going to
100%.
love them.
I can't wait.
But we have our own lives going on and when we respect that, we're not expecting each other to be with each other 24/7. We don't.
No.
I feel like we need more time
I
together.
know,
if
like,
anything.
we need to like pencil it in.
Exactly. But I think we respect that where you are doing your own thing, I'm doing my own thing, and we're looking out for each other. It's always like respect, and I think that's what's the common denominator and why it works out. And I love everything that you're doing, So I think that's maybe the secret to why it works.
I love that. And after hearing what you just said, like the main thing for me is like the communication aspect. And we were just talking about this before recording is like a friendship is literally a relationship.
It is.
And everything that you need to seed a beautiful, healthy relationship, you need in a friendship, and especially with living with one another.
Yeah.
And I do agree. I think that we are able to be like, yo, I respect you. I think you're amazing. Like, I want to be involved in your life and get to know you more. But like also, I want you to go off and spread your wings and enjoy and build and grow. But when you need me, babe, like I'll be on the couch. I'll be here.
Exactly.
Like ready for you.
Yeah. Having the same expectations is so important. Yeah. And communication. I really try to be as good as I can to like communicate what I need, or even just expressing like, hey, this person's going to come over. Just wanted to let you know, or this is where I'm at. I think it's so important to just say it and not assume things.
I agree. And I think looking back at a lot of my past experiences, and I think I literally need to have another episode just to share because literally it goes from me having, an eating disorder, living in the sorority house at UC Santa Barbara where, the president of Kappa brought me into my room with the house mom and said I was a liability to the house because of my eating disorder, because one of my best friends shared that with them instead of going to my parents or having a conversation with me, to experiences where I was living with 10 other girls and we were having a house meeting and, a knife was pulled out. Like the breadth of experiences that I've had with living with girls has been crazy.
Yeah.
But like what I've learned, like regardless of all of those situations, what I've learned is that you have to self-advocate for yourself and also like advocate for the health of the environment that you're living in for both parties. And I think again, like you said, it is communication. And it is scary like having those hard conversations, but like just like we have in relationships, like you have to talk about these things. And if you're not feeling heard or seen or respected, or you're feeling like something's off, like you should absolutely stand up for yourself, like in a respectful way and be like, look, like what's going on?
Yeah.
And like that stems from respect 100p.
Yeah. I mean, so many crazy stories. Wow. That's insane.
Jisu.
And I resonate with you because I was also in a sorority in college and I was living in a room with 4 other girls.
Yeah.
It was
How
called
was
a
that legal?
5-man.
Yeah, no.
I mean, that was a crazy situation, but it was so much fun too.
So much fun.
In college, just everything's crazy.
It's like pros and cons.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I would
yeah.
not regret living in ever.
Yeah.
But like if you think about it, if you put 50 girls together in a house, like
Yeah.
hell's gonna break loose.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. I think also just realizing that it's not going to be perfect and just if someone's looking for a roommate right now, take your time, be patient and don't rush into things and just be very clear of what you want in a roommate in a living situation, and it's going to happen, and put yourself out there. And that's what I would tell them.
And I love the patience aspect of it as
Yeah.
well, because I think we're living in a world where we're just so used to getting everything at the snap of our fingers, like instant gratification. And I think honestly, the most greatest things in life, friendships or relationships or just your career finally blossoming, like you said.
Yeah.
It takes time.
It does. Yeah.
And like I love like just knowing you and a little bit more about like your friendships and what you've learned. Like, for example, one of your closest girlfriends, like I know you guys were close at one point and then kind of lost touch and you've been able to come together.
Yeah. I mean,
Like, can you share a little bit more about that experience?
yeah. So one of my best friends, we've known each other since freshman year of college. She's been one of my best friends for 7 years now, which is kind of crazy, especially in LA. It can be hard to have those meaningful friendships. And we went through a period where we weren't talking to each other. I'm not going to share too much out of respect, but I finally stood up for myself, not in that sense of like, it was my fault. I always take responsibility in friendships and things and what I can learn from it, because I always believe that you teach people how to love you. Yeah. And I was letting things slide, and she thought it was okay because I wasn't saying anything before. So why was I putting that on her? You know, I was just growing resentment because I wasn't expressing my needs. So it finally got to a point where I expressed like, hey, this is actually a boundary of mine. And, you know, I'd never done that before. So obviously, like,
Scary.
And it was scary. It was terrifying. And we drifted. And for a couple months, we weren't talking. And that was so crazy and a little bit scary and a little bit, you know, painful. But eventually we like got back together and our friendship grew so much stronger. And since then we've had conversations where we've had to be more honest because she's also Korean American. And I don't know if you know anything about like Korean or Asian culture. It's a lot about saving face. You don't really talk about the problem.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, you kind of just do surface level things and you don't really go depth into.
A little passive?
A little passive, yeah. You don't really have those like meaningful heart-to-heart conversations. And so she was coming from that situation. I was coming from that situation. But then I was really pushing for us to have those genuine, hard, difficult conversations. Even times where, you know, we're going out and, you know, she'd text me and she would say like, what you did was hurtful. And for me, I had to put my pride aside and assess the situation and apologize and say, I'm so sorry for what I said and what I did. I didn't mean to hurt you. It came off the wrong way. I will be better about it in the future. I'm not going to lie and say that I didn't feel prideful and it hurt me. And I started like, you know, there's things that come up and I want to be honest about that because I think everyone feels that way. But I knew I cared about her so much and I saw it from her perspective. So I apologize. We figured that out. There were so many other instances where we had to have conversations, but now we're at a point where I see her as like a sister, and we genuinely are ride or dies. I would do everything for her. I know she has my back.
Oh, yeah.
I have her back. I truly trust her with everything, but it's because we've been through ups and downs, and we communicated and had those difficult conversations instead of just walking away and saying it's not going to work out, because deep inside I know she's a good, genuine person that I want in my life, and she's worth like fighting for, you know?
How cool is that?
Yeah.
I can really relate, and I really appreciate you for speaking so openly and vulnerably about your friendship with her.
Yeah.
First of all, I cannot wait to meet this woman. She
Yeah.
seems incredible.
Yeah.
And just thinking about like friendship breakups, you know, we've both experienced relationship breakups, which are so fucking painful.
Yeah.
But I would say some of my friendship breakups have been 100x times more painful
So
than
much more
like
painful.
a guy breakup. Mm-hmm. It's hard.
Yeah.
And it, you know, I mean, we have to look at ourselves in the mirror. We have to take a look at our ego and be like, how much is this person worth fighting for?
Yeah.
And, you know, I can speak to a recent experience that I had with now, like, she's a dear friend of mine, but we did have a massive falling out in college. And I thought I was never going to speak to her again, ever.
Wow.
And one of our mutual friends was still friends with her, and was like, I really think you guys should talk things out, like 5 years later.
Wow.
And I'm like, you know what? I always forgive people. I really do. And that also is a con to my personality, because
I think that's beautiful.
I forgive a little bit too easily sometimes.
No, that's beautiful.
But forgiving like allows you to be free from the pain, from the suffering. It's really surrendering. Mm-hmm. And I was able to do that through like the 5 years of me growing and evolving and stepping into this woman. And I think what I learned from talking with her and us sharing both of our experiences and kind of being able to like take a look at what happened in the past and be like, okay, that was shitty. This is how we've both grown individually, apologized. And like over multiple dates, like we really talked it through.
Wow.
And I really like, she was able to share with me like how she's grown.
Wow.
Some of the tough experiences that she experienced after. And I did that as well. And I think like as girls, we think sometimes these friendships are linear.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're my best friend right away and it's just going up. And like in reality, guys, like that is not reality.
No, because I love what you said about growth, because I think that's why me and one of my best friends, we are still friends, because we separated because we were growing so much. I was going through a huge growth spurt where I was going through my wellness journey. I was finally speaking up for myself. I was not doing things that I always like thought I had to. And that was a different version of myself when we first started being friends. You know, you have to either grow or grow apart. Sometimes you grow apart and then grow back together because the version that you are in this moment is not meant to be and not bringing out the best sides of you. But now you guys are in a different season of your life where you guys do fit in each other's lives. And it's all about growth. And growing together sometimes.
Snaps. And especially, I think, Jisu, like in our 20s.
Yeah.
Like being realistic.
Yeah.
2 years can make a massive difference. Like who I was, and this is not like you are very mature for your age, but this is just my personal experience.
Yeah.
Who I was at age 24 versus 26, like not like worlds apart.
Yeah.
And not that I'm still Skylar, like I'm still Sky.
Yeah.
I just have experienced more life in the past 2 years. And I think in our 20s, there's so much that's happening.
Yeah.
Because you go from college and then you're thrown into adulthood and you have to learn how to swim and create a thriving life.
Yeah.
And like, it's okay if you guys kind of like lose each other.
Yeah.
But I think there is a world where you can absolutely both grow individually and find each other again and grow stronger. And to me, like that is the fucking definition of a best friend.
Yeah. And I just have to mention that it has to be on both parties.
Thank you.
Because she wanted this just as she came to me. I didn't go back to her, you know? And she came to me and was like, let's make this work, because she had walked away. And if she had walked away and then I chased her again, that'd be a different story. But she came back, after a couple of months. It has to be both parties. Like, we are both great people, just miscommunication, something went off. Because I've also experienced painful friendship breakups where I had to really realize that I was giving 100% and they were giving 50, but I was so blinded by my love for them that I did not evaluate their love for me. And I've tried to make it work. And when I could see that things, we weren't hanging out as much, or they were always saying I'm busy, I sent a text and I was like, hey, I care about you so much, but I'm realizing that there's a drift. Is there anything I did or say? I'm so sorry if I hurt you. Can we talk about it? And to not accept the same energy. And I could tell like she had moved on, and I didn't get closure. That was so painful for me as someone who really struggles with not getting closure, because I've had abandonment issues in the past, and that was something I had to work through, was not getting that closure. And it'd be different in this situation where someone just doesn't want to be my friend, and it's not anything bad, it's just I don't know why. And I had to accept that and realize that not everyone is meant to be in your life. And what I learned from that is really reevaluating how much I give in my friendships, because I'm going to be the one who texts you to hang out, come to this thing, come to this party, hang out with me, like do this with my friends. I'm a very inclusive. I'm like, come to this, to like an event. And I always just continue doing it, even if I get a no, you know, because I'm like, maybe it's just they're busy in this time. But I kind of had to wake up and be like, Jisu, you have to wake up and realize that they're not inviting you to all these things, or not putting in that effort. And you can't just keep giving. And sometimes you have to sit back and see who like starts coming to you.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
That is really true. And I keep on saying I relate to that, because I do think we're extremely similar.
Yeah.
I think we're both insane empaths to where like it can be painful at times. And we are people pleasers. And in my friendships, like I know that I kind of take like the leadership role in a lot of my friendships and relationships. That's just who I am. But I think there's something to be said, like if you're always used to doing that, I challenge to whoever's listening who normally takes the leadership stance in their friendships, like it's okay to take the back seat.
Yeah.
Like it's okay to allow people to come to you. Like you don't always have to be doing like everything. And I think that's also a great testament to understand, like, okay, like, where are we at in this friendship? Like, is it even? Like, how am I feeling after hanging out with them? Like, I always say, like, do you leave hanging out with them feeling charged?
Yeah.
Do you feel drained? Like, it really does need to be an even tango.
Yeah.
Because if not... it's like this could be going towards someone else who is really filling me up.
Exactly.
Where it feels like it's, you know, it's even.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's totally normal to want that and okay.
Yeah, and I think another thing about friendships, I think female friendships are so important and very underrated. They are so crucial. I think especially in this day and age of social media and online stuff, we need community more than ever. You need real life friends, not just social media friends. You need your girlfriends. As women, we are created to be in community and have people by our side. And for me, I'm always trying to make new friends. Even now, today, after this, like I'm going to a little kickball thing for my church to make new friends. I'm always on that journey of being open-minded. I think it's this balance of keeping your old friends, but also being open-minded to making new ones and not getting jaded from the past, learning from your experiences. There was definitely a season in my life where I was very hurt by my friendship breakup and I had to take a step back, but just continue to put yourself out there. But I think we talked about taking it easy and not, just jumping the gun and calling someone your best friend, or immediately when you have a connection with someone, taking it slow, just like a relationship. Get to know them on an even level. See how much energy they're putting in. If maybe they're not texting as much or they don't want to hang out as much, okay, take a step back. You have other amazing people in your life that you can invest in. You have your hobbies, you have your job, you have your passions. I think just taking it slow has been my thing. And also the more you get to know about yourself, just really take time for who you are. What fills your cup? What do you enjoy? And the more that I'm okay with being on my own, the more I'm not desperate just to have this big friend group. I've never been the girl to have that friend group. I've always just had really individual friends. And I would love to have a friend group eventually, but I think that's something I've had to accept, is not compare myself with other girls who, you know, have that core group of like 6 to 10 girls that they're always with. So
I really appreciate you saying that.
yeah.
And this is another topic. I mean, we could talk about the friend group thing for hours, but I think there's like this misconception around that girlfriend group, right? And I've had experiences where I haven't had that.
Yeah.
And I've had experiences where I've had.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
Moving to LA, when I first got here, I was a little bit looking at the shiny objects and like looking at the influencer scene.
Yeah.
And I did have like an influencer friend group, and I think they're all amazing individuals. I love them dearly. They're kick-ass, amazing women. But I found myself when we were all together, I didn't really feel seen, heard, or like fully understood.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing as I mature, I'm really deeply appreciating my one-on-one time with my girlfriends. And I'm a very outgoing person. For work, I sell, I network. Like I'm just going to say this, like I'm a pro at making friends because that's what I love doing.
Yeah.
And it's taken me years to get outside of my comfort zone and go to parties and events alone, but it's really this muscle that you build. But the reason why I say that is, you know, it's much better to have like deep quality over quantity. Like quantity is just
Absolutely.
It's an appearance thing.
Yeah.
And I'm being honest, like, baby, like you're not missing out on that at all.
You know, I kind of want to touch on that because we're both content creators, influencers.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because 90% of my friends are just normal people with real jobs. Like I'll say
and
it.
I love that about you.
Like my best friends, you know, one of them is in law school. The other one is in medical school. My other one is like a personal assistant to a psychologist. Like they just could not care less about my social media, which I need. I need these people to keep me grounded and humble. And I'm myself with them. And I think I just naturally gravitate towards those kind of people. And it's easy to get caught up in the glitz and the glam in LA. And I've tried to make friends with other content creators, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. And I've realized like I just need my core group of 3 or 4 girlfriends. I don't need 10, 100 friends. I really don't have. I have a lot of acquaintances and people that I'm friendly with, but my core group of girls, it's like 3 or 4 girls that I truly trust. You know?
I love that. And I think it's so cool for you to like come on this regardless and to be like, yo, like my core group of friends, they're not content creators. Like newsflash.
No.
And we're dynamic human beings. Like we're supposed to have a diverse pool of people in our life. Like I think the reason why people can relate to you so deeply online is because you're authentic. You are so much more than just a pretty face on social media. You invest into relationships who are way outside the limits of Instagram, TikTok. Like how can we like as influencers or content creators or podcasters start to create this world that like people can relate to that's outside of like the phone. And that's you, babe. Like literally, that's so important. And I want the people who are listening to know that like, even if you have one friend who you're like, this is my girl, this is my guy, like it's freaking amazing. Like you've made it. That's so much more special than having 20 random friends who you don't really know how they feel about you.
Yeah. And in a sorority, I had so many friends.
Oh, yeah.
So many. But I was so empty inside because I didn't have genuine, high-quality friends that I could get close to. And I'm so passionate about female friendships because I truly think it is one of the biggest blessings in your life. And you can go through the worst things in your life because you have people by your side. And I just want to tell anyone out there, if you're struggling with friendships, do not give up. Please put yourself out there. Like join running clubs, go to church, go to engagements, like just join anything and just get yourself out there because you need community. And if you've had failed friendships, pick yourself back up, reflect on it, journal, what can I get better at? And just continue to evolve and grow and know that your friendships are going to evolve and grow. You know, they're not always going to be stagnant. And I have people that were my childhood best friends that maybe I'm not the closest to, but I still love them from afar. Yeah. Maybe in a couple months we'll reconnect again. Absolutely. And, you know, it's so free flowing. And I hope people don't just have one vision of what a best friend can look like.
I almost got like emotional because I really do see life like that where, you know, there's just waves. Like there will be people kind of in the background who like, you know, are always supporting you and vice versa. Yeah. And who knows if they come a little bit closer to your life. Like I think it's really about like being open, being able to forgive, being able to reflect, take radical responsibility. Yeah. Like, that's what we're here to do, you guys. Like, we're here to love. Like, ultimately, if we take all the bullshit away. Yeah.
That's what it's about.
We're here to fucking love.
Yeah. And you are going to find the people that have the same, like, love and passion for life as you do. Like, my friends are so incredibly supportive. Now that I, like, reeled it back in and really evaluated who's there for me, I have been so blessed to kind of have an epiphany of, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I actually need to invest in this person because she's checking up on me. She's real. She's genuine. She doesn't care about all these other things. She wants to get to know me for me. She encourages me. You know how many people, especially in female friendships, it can be hard with jealousy and comparison. Oh, yeah,
that's a whole nother thing we could talk about.
Yeah, and so to find genuine people who don't compare like themselves to you, like with my core group of girlfriends, I don't get jealous of them at all. Like my best friend in med school, I could not be happy for her. I am like, I tear up when I think about it because I cannot wait to fly all the way across the country to go support her when she's graduating because I know that she's like fulfilling her purpose on this earth and she's so happy for me. And you just need to find people who just don't have that comparison and just genuinely want the best for you.
I love that. And I think it really speaks to like the people who are there for you during your highs and lows.
Yes.
Like equally, they're both there for you at each moment, supporting you and rooting you on.
So. And you have to be that friend too. I think
absolutely.
Yeah, all of us, we talk about like, oh, this or that, but I also have to be that person who's positive and encouraging and checking up on them. And I make mistakes in my friendships. Absolutely. I'm not perfect. As you can see, I've gone through so much, you know, I'm growing. I've probably hurt so many people too. I'm not perfect at all, but I can say in my friend groups, I hope that they can say I'm a good friend and that I really do like care about them so deeply.
That's everything. Yeah. Is like, how are you showing up?
Yeah.
Because it's a two-way street.
It is.
If you're just blaming and pointing the finger, then you're going to have the same issues in the next friendship.
Yeah, exactly.
Babe, I cannot believe, literally, it feels like we've been talking for only 5 minutes.
I know.
But we are at the end of today's episode.
Oh my gosh.
So I want to welcome you and everyone to a section that I like to call syllabus steps. Ooh. And this is a time where we kind of get more into like the nitty gritty of like the how.
Okay.
Like how have you been able to navigate through some of these difficult living situations or friend breakups? Were there any specific resources like podcasts, books, activities that have really led you to where you are today, my love?
Well, there's not a specific friendship book that I read, but a lot of it has to do with a lot of inner work and a lot of inner healing. I've been in therapy for the past 2 years, really working on myself. I've also read books on attachment theory. I don't know if you know what that is. For people who don't know, there's 3 attachment styles: anxious, avoidant, secure. I read this book called Attached. Go read it if you haven't. Changed my life. I think it can apply to romantic and platonic friendships. I've done just a lot of inner work, journaling. My faith is so important to me. So getting deeper in the word and my relationship with God and really trusting him and knowing who I am and not needing other people's validation or attention and just being okay being on my own, you know, I think has been so powerful. So I think that's really contributed to friendships is doing like the inner work and the inner growth and kind of doing, you know, sometimes we can do a spring clean of our closet.
Yeah.
Do that with your relationships. It's going to be painful, but really evaluate. Like sometimes you have to start from like ground zero. Yeah. I've been through that where I've had to really reevaluate my friendships, cut certain things off and start from ground zero. And it can be hard, but really be careful with who you give your time and your attention to. I think that's really important.
Yeah, and especially...
I just burped.
We love it. Authenticity. Yeah. No, I needed that advice today, my love.
Okay, good.
That was super helpful. And the final question is a little game. It's a fill in the blank.
Okay.
So, are you ready?
Yeah.
Regardless of blank, I am blank.
Regardless of heartbreak, I am still hopeful and optimistic and excited and passionate and open.
Wow.
Yeah. Heartbreak and job opportunities and friendships and relationships, even in myself, like failing myself, being heartbroken over who I was, regardless of all the pain that I've been through and I know everyone else has been, do not get jaded. I think that's the biggest thing I just want anyone who's listening to hear from and get from is don't let your past pain hinder you or stop you from being open and loving and optimistic, you know, being almost like childlike again.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I would say.
I'm getting emotional. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah,
You're
of course.
freaking incredible, and you're like an angel. Like, I literally think like the universe is looking down at me. It was like, for your last time living with girls, this is what a good friend is. So
I'm so grateful for you. So grateful for you. This was amazing.
Yeah!
Amazing.
Great.
Yay!
We did it!